Welcome to Midnight Archives, where the strange, the unsolved, and the downright eerie come to light. Every week, we dive deep into the mysteries history tried to bury. Buckle up, it's about to get weird. Thank you for watching. On Christmas Eve, 1945, a quiet home nestled in the hills of Fayetteville, West Virginia, was full of laughter, lights, and life. The Sodder family, George, Jenny, and their 10 children, had just celebrated the end of the war and were looking forward to a peaceful holiday. The tree sparkled. The children were giddy with excitement. But by morning, 5 of the Sodder children would vanish into thin air, and a fire would erase nearly every trace of them. Or so it seemed. George Sodder, an Italian immigrant, had built a stable life for his family. He owned a trucking business, and the Sodder home was large and bustling. He was outspoken in his criticism of Mussolini, a fact that caused friction in the local Italian community. In the months before the fire, strange events began to occur. A visiting stranger asked about wiring on the house and warned it would go up in smoke someday. A man offering work made a similar comment about fire and the children. The Sodders dismissed it, just odd, offhand remarks. But in hindsight, those words echoed with sinister weight. At around 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve, the younger children were told they could stay up later to play with their new toys. George and Jenny, along with 2 older sons, went to bed. A series of oddities followed. At 12:30 a.m., the phone rang. Jenny answered. A strange woman asked for someone they didn't know, then laughed eerily before hanging up. Lights were still on. Curtains still open. The children were assumed to be sleeping in their shared attic bedroom. At 1 a.m., Jenny was awakened again, this time by a loud bang on the roof. Something rolled off. Then, an hour later, smoke began to curl through the house. Flames erupted from George's office downstairs. The Sodders scrambled to escape. Jenny, George, and 4 children made it out. But 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny Jr., and Betty, were never seen again. George tried to rescue them. The ladder was missing from its usual spot. Both of his trucks, which he planned to drive up to the second-floor window, wouldn't start. The phone lines were cut. Jenny ran to a neighbor's house to call the fire department, but help was slow. The volunteer fire chief couldn't drive the truck and had to wait until someone who could was located. The blaze, which should have been a 5-alarm fire, burned for 45 minutes and then smoldered into ash. But here's where the mystery truly begins. Authorities declared the children had died in the fire. Yet the Sodders found no remains in the ashes, no bones, no teeth, nothing. Jenny consulted a crematorium. She was told that even at high temperatures, bones remain. She burned chicken bones in her own stove as an experiment, and found fragments. So why were her children's remains missing? An official investigation claimed the fire was caused by faulty wiring. But George had recently had the house rewired, and the lights were still on during the fire. A telephone repairman later confirmed the lines had been intentionally cut. A witness claimed to see a man stealing a block and tackle from the property the night of the fire, possibly explaining the disabled trucks. Another said they saw balls of fire being thrown onto the roof, an explanation for the noise Jenny had heard. A few weeks later, Sylvia Sodder, the youngest child who survived, found a small green object in the yard. Some believe it was an incendiary device, possibly a pineapple bomb. Others saw the missing children in a car that night, peering from the backseat. More sightings trickled in. A woman claimed to have seen 4 of the Sodder children in a hotel with 2 adults in Charleston, West Virginia. Another claimed they were in Florida. A third said she'd seen them in a convent. George traveled extensively to follow these leads. Every trail led nowhere. In 1947, the Sodders hired a private investigator. He discovered that the fire chief, F.J. Morris, had confessed to a priest that he found a human heart in the ashes, hid it in a dynamite box, and buried it near the house. When police unearthed it, they found it was actually a beef liver, untouched by fire. The motive? Morris claimed he buried it to give the family closure. But the deception only deepened the mystery. Desperate for answers, the Sodders erected a billboard along Route 16, featuring the children's photos and a reward for information. It stayed there for decades, haunting passers-by with the words, "What was their fate? Kidnapped, murdered, or still alive?" In 1967, over 2 decades after the fire, Jenny received a photograph in the mail. No return address. No message, just a note on the back, Louis Sodder. I love Brother Frankie. Elil Boys. A90132 or 35. The man in the picture resembled an older Louis. The family believed it was him. They hired a new investigator to track it, but he vanished without a trace. But some believe the mystery reached higher than anyone was willing to admit. Theories involving organized crime, local corruption, or even government complicity have circulated for years. Some speculate the Sodder children were abducted by individuals angered by Georgia's political stances. Others believe they were taken and trafficked, silenced to prevent them from ever contacting their family again. Despite endless searches and tireless dedication, no physical evidence beyond the charred rubble has ever confirmed their fate. The FBI refused to get involved, citing jurisdictional limitations. Local law enforcement eventually ceased all active investigation. Still, the Sodders never stopped searching. There were even rumors of foreign intelligence agencies having a hand in the disappearance, using the chaos of the fire as cover for a covert operation. These theories, while lacking hard evidence, found an eager audience among those who could not accept the children were simply lost to the flames. In a post-war America gripped by fear and suspicion, even the wildest explanations began to sound plausible. The community remained divided. Some believed the Sodders were in denial, clinging to false hope. Others believed them, offering quiet support over the years. But no one could deny the inconsistencies: the missing ladder, the silent fire trucks, the cut phone line, and the complete absence of human remains. The case had too many unanswered questions to simply be dismissed. As years passed, the legend only grew. The Sodder children became a mythic story told in whispers, a cautionary tale of unanswered knocks and unresolved goodbyes. Generations grew up passing by the billboard on Route 16, wondering if the answers were still out there, buried under decades of silence. Even now, the story echoes through West Virginia hills and across true crime forums online. The Sodder children didn't just vanish. They were erased, from the house, from the records, and from the world. And the silence left behind is louder than any answer ever given.